It's Tuesday, May 15th, and I'm your host, Paula Hersey. On today's show, we go bug the tick guy, County Entomologist Larry Dapsis. We check in with Deputy Chief Matthew Sonnabend at the Barnstable Police Department, and we are celebrating Bike Week on Cape Cod. A look at today's weather. Partly cloudy early. Keep an eye to the sky for developing scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon. High 67, winds south-southwest at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Chance of rain, 60%. Let's start with some news you can use. In 1962, President Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day and the calendar week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. Established by a joint resolution of Congress in 1962, National Police Week pays special recognition to those law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty for the safety and protection of others. This week, let all of us take a moment to thank the hardworking and courageous men and women of our police department during National Police Week and the sacrifices they have made on our behalf. Community leaders and skateboarders celebrated the rejuvenation of Barnstable Skate Park last Saturday. The damp weather did not derail the excitement and enthusiasm of the crowd on hand for the ribbon cutting and competition. Ella Harrington, a fourth grader at Barnstable United, led off the festivities singing the national anthem, and Community Services Director Lynn Poyant thanked Lou Nicanello, owner of Bass River Sports World, for generously discounting the new equipment, and noted all the dedication of the town committees and the staff of the Barnstable Recreation. Here are some highlights.
One, two, three, make it official.
It's a broad-based sport. This facility will support BMX, skateboarders, that kind of thing. And it's really important to have a facility like this where the kids can be safe, wear the right equipment, and not be out on sidewalks and on traffic. That's the key component here. And it also brings community together to this particular site.
You know, it's just a great place for kids to come, and we're one of the only parks, and nationally we're recognized because we have staff on to keep it safe. We also have staff on that helps kids learn. So we're one of the only in the United States that actually physically has people here to help the kids and mentor them at the same time. So it's a lot more going on in here than people just, coming and skateboarding or playing, riding your bike or your scooter. There's a lot of stuff happening here that's really, really good for our community.
And it's just a great day, for the youth in the community. To see these young skateboarders out here having a great time, having so much fun. We have young and old that are here, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot of the older skateboarders out there as well. And that's exciting to see the youth and the older community come together and share something in common. So.
A little chilly and damp, but everybody's in good spirits, and we're excited to actually get this in before the rain. We haven't had a comp in a few years, so it's exciting to see all the kids come out, and hopefully we'll have have some good tricks and some good rides today. We, when we sort of realized some of the ramps were in disrepair, it was sort of daunting. It was a daunting task to try to find the funds and the money to be able to do that sort of thing, to sort of rehab it and bring it back. So it's sort of like my feel-good, warm heart moment that the kids are out today, so that we can celebrate having a really safe and fun park to ride. So we're open Tuesday through Friday during school, when school's in session, from 3 to 8, Saturday and Sunday from 12 to 8, and we're always closed on Mondays. Once school's out for the year, we'll be out, our hours are 12 to 8, Tuesday through Sunday, still closed Mondays.
This is great. I was down here riding little dirt jumps in the woods probably about 30 years ago before the skate park was here, and I would have given anything to have a facility like this when I was in my younger years here in Hyannis. So I think it's very, very important to have a place like this that everyone can come down and hang out, and it's a supervised, safe area to do BMX and skateboarding. It's immeasurable, because even if it's just one kid that you keep out of that life, it's tough to measure. You might not ever know, but even if it's just one, it's worth all the money that you put into it.
We check in with Deputy Chief Matthew Sonnabend for this week's Barnstable Police Department update.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
We are just fine. How about yourself?
We are excellent today, so I guess we all are excellent today.
We are. Just wanted to take a moment to thank you and all the men and women who keep us safe in the town of Barnstable. It's a special week for your department and all of law enforcement.
Yes, it is. I appreciate it. We do recognize and thank the community for really, especially over the past month now, really being vocal in their support of the police department. It really has meant a lot to us, and particularly to Yarmouth Police. I don't want that to go unsaid, and we really do appreciate it. But this is National Police Week, and today in particular is the Police Memorial Day. And to coincide with that, Deputy Chief Exaros from Yarmouth and Representative Randy Hunt, they came up with an idea a little while ago to put in a flagpole and dedicate a bridge there at Exit 5 to the memory of all first responders, police, fire, dispatchers, and all our brothers and sisters that are out there doing that work every day. And so today that dedication is going to take place today. It's going to be 2 o'clock this afternoon, and it's going to be right there at Exit 5 on Route 149. So do expect some traffic delays. We are going to have the state police, Yarmouth Police, and our officers are going to be out there directing traffic and guiding it around. For those of you that have school-age children, you're going to recognize that time of 2 to 3 p.m. as being very important to the bus delivery services. However, we're going to be allowing the buses to get through. Some of the other traffic will be diverted. But we'll try and keep that road open as much as possible because we do realize that it is an essential artery over the Mid-Cape there for Barnstable residents.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely a wonderful tribute to all first responders. We'll be there filming it for Channel 18. You guys were
Awesome.
out and about for lots of different types of things this week, emerging leaders and Osterville's cleanup day.
Yep, we were out there in Osterville down at the village library, and we had some officers out there helping out with the village cleanup day. That was on Saturday the 12th from about 9 to roughly 10:30ish. The Osterville Village Association and the emerging leaders teamed up with the Barnstable Police Department. We went around and picked up some trash and debris in the Central Village area, East Bay Road, Pond Street, Bumps River Road area. We did some traffic and helped plan some safety for the event. And the next cleanup day, just so everyone is aware of it, the Village Association is planning another cleanup day for June 23rd. So all of you Osterville residents that are tired of looking at some trash, and even anybody else that wants to help out, please come on by and lend a hand.
That's great. We love to see you guys out in the community. It's wonderful to have the interaction with the kids out there, and they picked up a lot of trash.
Yeah, as you'll notice that apparently the snow melted, but the trash didn't. So
Exactly.
you got to get out there and pick that stuff up. And please, the trash is coming from somewhere,
Right.
and it just the ground just isn't producing itself. So if you got trash in your car, keep it in your car till you get wherever you're going, and put it in a trash receptacle at an appropriate destination, not on the side of the street.
Good advice. And one other thing we wanted to talk about this morning is you've graduated quite a few new telecommunicators.
Yes, we did. If some of you do recall, a few years ago, back in 2008, we did have a staff of about 11, actually 9 dispatchers that worked in our communication center, and so police officers didn't actually have to perform the dispatching functions. When we all hit that economic downturn, unfortunately, we had to do some layoffs, and all but 2 left. Last year, the town did approve us to hire a new staff, and we were originally targeting 9 to bring that number back up to 11. However, we were also talking to the Hyannis Fire Department, and they were in the midst of building their station, and we all saw this as a great opportunity to get together and collaborate for public safety dispatching. So the Hyannis Fire Department stepped up to the plate and allowed 3 more to be hired, so we ended up hiring a total of 12, so we'll have 14, and all 12 of those graduated the academy this past week, and now they're here at the station. They're going through some additional training for about 2 weeks. They'll be doing some fire dispatching training, because fire dispatching is vastly different from police dispatching, apparently.
Okay.
So we're teaching them that. They're learning how to do the emergency medical dispatch. They're learning how to do the next generation 911. And soon they'll be hitting the, I can't say hitting the streets, but they'll be hitting the desk downstairs. And the officers over the past few years that have been tasked with being inside and answering phone calls and dispatching cruisers and all that wonderful stuff will now be freed up to go do other things.
So how important it is to have those folks in-house for you guys?
Honestly, and I say this all the time, when I first began back 22 years ago, learning how to dispatch a car was vastly different. Even the 911 system was a one-day class, pick up the phone, 911, what's your emergency, and then you just transferred it somewhere over. Over the years, the technology and everything else that has changed with 911 has brought that to just itself a 1 week long class. And then when we undertook a few years ago the emergency medical dispatch, that's another week-long course. So it's about 80 hours worth of training just to be able to answer the phone in a dispatch center. And then you're also learning how to give appropriate medical directions to people in need and, route them to the right places. And while doing that, you're also gathering the information, because everything here in a police department begins with the initial caller. The person that calls us gives us information. You got to make sure that your right questions are asked, the right data is collected, and then all that has to be put into the computer in the right way so that an investigator or someone else later on can go back in there and get all the information, learn who the initial caller was, learn all this stuff so they can continue with their investigations. And the way we were doing it was, it kind of rotated through. We had trained the majority of our officers, about 70 of them, to work in the dispatch area. And so that meant, officers were in there maybe a night or two, and then they were out on the street for a while, then they came back. And it really didn't lead to any really good consistency. Not that anyone was doing a bad job, but it really became much more of a specific profession that we really needed to dedicate some people to, and we saw an opportunity to do it, and the town supported us, and here we are.
Well, we are glad that they are there, and I'm sure you are. We'll probably see you this afternoon at the bridge.
We will be there this afternoon at the bridge, and I look forward to it.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Chief.
Have a great day.
You too now.
All right, bye-bye.
What bugs you about ticks? We spent some time with Larry Dapsis, Barnstable County entomologist, to find out how you can protect your yard, family, and pets from these nasty critters carrying terrible diseases, including Lyme. We're out in the field, literally today, with Larry Dapsis, County Extension entomologist. Larry, it is tick season, and they are exploding everywhere this year. Lots of rain brought them out.
Well, tick season actually started January 1st, and it's going to go till December 31st and pick up again January 1st. But you're right, with all the rain that we've had recently, that just creates the environmental conditions that ticks can be in places you wouldn't normally find them, and they're active for longer periods of time. So it increases the chances that you're going to bump into one of these little landmines.
So you have a couple of those little landmines with you today,
We do.
And they're minuscule, really small.
Well, these are adult stage ticks that I picked up in about 60 seconds of dragging a piece of white flannel on the ground. So I've got 2 adult males and 2 adult females, and you can see they're about the size of a sesame seed.
Right.
But we're in a transition stage right now because what's about to start coming out are the nymph stage of this tick.
Oh my gosh, you can't really even see them. They're extremely small, like a grain of sand.
They're the size of a poppy seed, and they'll be with us about now until early August. And the significance of this is that it's so small, it can elude a tick check. So this stage is responsible for 85% of all tick-borne diseases.
So those little things bite?
They do. They have 8 legs, an attitude, and can put you on your behind in a heartbeat.
Wow. So there's some things out there that folks really have to be aware of to protect themselves, their families, their pets.
Sure.
Let's talk about those today.
Sure. Well, the other thing is that the headline here, it's not just about Lyme disease anymore. We're up to 5 different pathogens that this particular species of tick can vector and make you sick. And last year in our surveillance work, we found 13% of the ticks on Cape Cod were co-infected, meaning they're carrying 2, 3, or even 4 pathogens.
And those are some of those real scary big words, powassan and
Babesiosis,
right?
yeah, all of them. So they're all quite serious and can be serious. So let's talk about the 3 Ps.
Right.
The way we run this program is protect yourself, protect your yard, and protect your pets. So first and foremost, for self-protection, I talk about repellents as a first-line defense.
Right.
So we've got the standard products that people are familiar with, things like DEET, 30% DEET, but that's for exposed skin.
Okay.
So the tick won't bite you where that DEET is, but it might just keep marching along until it finds a place where there's no DEET.
Right.
For me, the top repellent on the books contains the active ingredient permethrin, and this is for treating clothing and footwear. And what I found in my research on this is that if a tick is exposed for 60 seconds, it's guaranteed to die in about 10 minutes.
Wow.
So it works like a charm. So you treat your footwear about every 4 weeks, and if you treat your clothing, it'll keep its activity through 6 washings or 45 days. Or you can get pre-treated clothing from a company, principally Insect Shield, and 70 washings claim, the life of the garment.
Wow.
And since I've been starting this regimen 7 years ago now, I've not received a single tick bite. And I went out looking for them.
Right, so I think part of, so say the name again, it's permethrin.
Permethrin is the active ingredient, so you have a number of brands. So this one happens to be Sawyer.
Right.
This is Ben's. You can get it now all the major garden centers on the Cape and
Yeah.
some of the box stores like Home Depot. But and the safety margin on this product is huge. This is the active ingredient that you would slather on an infant for scabies mite at a much higher concentration. So chemically, it's the perfect chemical for our particular application.
Okay, and then we talk about the yard as well. So, people are out there, we've got gorgeous weather, starting to really get out there and do that yard work.
Exactly.
And those ticks live in your yard whether you have manicured grass or
Sure.
not, right?
We don't have to go into that tree line over there to get ticks. In fact, surveillance research in Connecticut showed that 2/3 of the people that submitted ticks for identification and testing got them from their own backyard. So ticks and gardening go hand in hand.
Right.
So as a 1-2 punch, besides the treated clothing and footwear, I recommend a perimeter yard spray. There are commercial companies that use a product like permethrin, Talstar. And so on our website, we've got the timings and of when you would put those 2 spring sprays on, mid-May, mid-June, and that'll cover that nymph stage window of activity.
Right, the ones that you can't see that really literally will bite and you never even knew that you get bit.
Yeah, so you need to do tick checks anyway, and the places you would look is where your clothing becomes restrictive. So like behind your knees,
Right.
Your pelvic area, your armpit, your hairline around
Yeah.
your neck. That's where you're most likely to find the ticks.
Okay. Having been bit and having had Lyme disease, I think perhaps maybe from our dogs, pick up ticks all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Got a couple of products here, the Advantix collars for dogs. But
Sure. There's a number of topicals like Canine Advantix 2. You have to pay attention to what products you can use on a dog versus a cat. This one you cannot use on cats. They're sensitive to permethrin. But the monthly topicals, some people find they get old after a while. Did I do it? Do I feel like doing it? And a company came out with a collar a few years ago called Seresto with an S. You put that on your animal, you get 8 months of continuous flea and tick control. So the pets are covered, in fact, in some ways better than people because there's a vaccine available for dogs for Lyme disease.
Correct. Yep. Absolutely. And I think what a lot of people don't understand is that, even if you think it's just a dog tick, they're picking up these little nymph things you don't even see
Sure.
on their fur and on their skin. So, if you're snuggling with them on the couch or something like that, you really have to be aware that you need a product on them that's going to kill them in that small stage as well.
Exactly. And if the tick falls off the animal for whatever reason, once that happens, it's going to die fairly shortly because ambient humidity inside a house isn't that high.
Right. Excellent. Well, Larry, what other things can you tell folks? We just need to protect ourselves. We need to be smart.
We need to be tick safe. I tell people that don't be afraid of your environment, because there are people that don't want to go outside anymore. Don't fear your environment, but understand your environment.
Right. Thank you so much, Larry. Bike Week is underway on Cape Cod and across the Commonwealth. We learned more about this unique event from Lev Malikoff, Senior Transportation Engineer with the Cape Cod Commission. May 12th through May 28th is Bike Week here in Massachusetts and here on Cape Cod as well. With me today to discuss all the exciting details is Lev Malikoff from Cape Cod Commission. You are the Senior Engineer Transportation.
Yes, so one of my interests is promoting ways for people to get around Cape Cod without necessarily being in their cars. And for some of the shorter trips and on the nicer weather that we're coming into, some people might think, well, why don't I try something different? Why don't I try biking to the store or biking to work, depending on how far they have to go? And you know, it's a great way to get a little exercise and fresh air if you're going there anyways.
Exactly.
Why not try your bike?
So Bike Week's been around for a while, and Massachusetts is the only state that has a whole week dedicated to bicyclists.
Yes, so the Massachusetts DOT and their group called Mass Rides are really promoting the statewide Bike Week so that people throughout the Commonwealth in different towns and communities can participate as well, as not just having it for a day or just in the city. It's everywhere. Right.
And here on Cape Cod, I did notice off of their website that there were quite a few events planned for that week around the region.
Yeah, so it's baystatebikeweek.org. They have a find an event page where you can put in your zip code or look on the map. We're helping to organize several bike safety promotions. We'll have bike safety information. We'll have some equipment, a few lights and bells, and we're also looking for input, for ideas from people. That's the other thing that my role at the Cape Cod Commission is to help identify transportation projects on Cape Cod so that we can then help the town solve their problems.
So one of those problems obviously is getting from one end of the Cape to the other, but the good news is that we're getting extensions on these bike trails.
Sure, we have sort of a catchphrase, we're calling it Vision 88. 88 miles would be the distance by bike from Woods Hole to Provincetown on a bike path. We've already got components of it in place. We have, of course, the Cape Cod Rail Trail, the canal paths, Shining Sea Bikeway. There's also extensions of Cape Cod Rail Trail that are coming our way here into Barnstable. They're going to be opening up sometime, I believe, this summer, the connection in Yarmouth that crosses the Bass River from Dennis, and you can ride a bike all the way to Higgins Corral Road, for example, when that opens. But down the pike, we're going to be looking to bring it connected to the Sandwich with a proposal on the service road, and then eventually to the canal at that end, and then to the other end as well.
That's great, and I know that a lot of folks have some issues riding on the roads. Not everybody understands the share the road principle. Can you give some of those timid riders who are riding the roads some tips, what they should remember out there?
Well, number one is safety, and you see what I'm wearing on my head. It's
Absolutely.
not just because I don't have hair. It's something that could come in handy, and hopefully you'll never need it, but it's there. So wear your helmet. Also, there's some basic rules of the road. All of our highways, except for the freeways, like Route 6, we're not allowed to ride bicycles on. But the other roads are considered a share the road facility that people can ride along the road edge. So you basically want to ride with traffic, okay? Don't ride facing traffic. That's for the walkers. Walkers face traffic, bicyclists ride with traffic. And you want to try to be alert of what's going on around you. That's the main thing. If you are going to ride in the road, is to basically be able, to check behind you to see if there's a motorist, periodically, see if they're alert and paying attention, because there's a lot of distracted driving out there. And I think you just catch their eye, they see you, they know you're there, and then they can safely pass you.
You have a bike bell. That works too, right?
Well,
making sure people's
this
hear
is
you?
a great thing for the rail trail. So when you're coming up behind somebody who's walking, and they're generally on the rail trail, they are walking on the right. And you'll be riding on the right as well. So you want to go around them, but you don't want to surprise them. So courtesy is to say, I'm on your left, or if you want to just be more fun, you can ring your bell, and then they know you're coming.
Excellent. And how about some favorite rides? You've been riding for a long time. We've known each other for almost 30 years, and every of those years you've ridden around Cape Cod. What are some of your favorite rides with the family?
Well, certainly any of the rail trail or bike path rides. Shining Sea is wonderful. Cape Cod Rail Trail. The Old Colony Rail Trail that goes to Chatham is a lot of fun. Okay. There's a lot of side streets in town as well. If you don't want to go throw your bike on the car, but you just want to ride through the villages, there's a lot of low volume streets that have connections. It's not perfect because you sometimes have to cross a busy road, but as long as you have a safe intersection, for instance, with a stoplight that you can stop, get off your bike, walk across, and keep on riding.
Excellent. And what makes you look forward to Bike Week every year?
Well, it's that time of year. We're finally getting into the good weather, and you know, it's an opportunity, like I said, to get out, fresh air, exercise, get where you're going. And you know, if you bike to work, think about, you know, the ride to work, you're trying to just get to work, but then afterwards you don't have to rush. You can just go and enjoy yourself.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Lev. Here's our look at our community calendar. Join music lovers at Cotuit Library for a film as part of the Royston Nash Music Appreciation Series Wednesday, May 16th, 3 to 5 p.m. The 1972's Lady Sings the Blues, rated R, the story of the troubled life and career of legendary jazz singer Billie Holiday, played by Diana Ross, is the movie on the projector. This film is part of the Royston Nash Music Appreciation Series, supported in part by the Arts Foundation of Cape Cod, the Mid-Cape Cultural Council, and the Kirkman Trust. This program is free, but please register at cotuitlibrary.org/events or contact the library. This week, we honor the fallen, the men and women in blue who have served and protected. Thank you for your service, and you will never be forgotten. I'm Paula Hersey, and thank you for watching Barnstable Today.